Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Enable section of Social Impact Day. My name is Ryan, and I'll be your moderator for this session. Today, we have a great line of organizations coming down to enable your GUIs, your ground initiatives, with a multitude of initiatives. So this will be the timeline for this Enable session. First, we will have the Office of Student Affairs, followed by the National Youth Council. Thirdly, we will have Grown Up Central, and lastly, we have Project Kampong. So how this works is each organization will have 10 minutes, which is inclusive of a presentation and a Q&A. And the Q&A is at the end of every presentation. So do submit your questions on the spot when they're going through the presentation so that it's still fresh. Just a quick reminder on where the Q&A function is. It's at the bottom of your screen. And please submit the questions anytime during the webinar presentation. Indicate the panelist name if you would like to address a question to a specific presenter. And do upvote questions you would like to be answered first. With that, can we invite Nikki? Nikki is year 3 undergraduate majoring in electrical engineering. He's involved in multiple programs from veggie rescues to relocating the homeless to role-playing in children's homes. He recently built a Telegram community, VoSG, to share opportunities for youth to be involved. Nikki also frequently attends youth networking events organized by the Youth Corps, with one keynote event being the Alzheimer's Disease International Conference in Kuala Lumpur in 2019. So I'll now pass my time on to Nikki.
Hello, everyone. Right, so I'll just share my screen. Yep. All right, okay. So among the audience, I assume that there are some NUS students also. And I think some of the initiatives and grants that OSA, the Office of Student Affairs, offers will appeal to you, and it's something that you can apply for within your 4 years in NUS. So today, sharing with more about some of the experiences I had, some interesting ones that I had during my time in NUS. So hi, I'm Nikki. I'm a year 3 electrical engineering student in NUS. So the question I get a lot is why as an engineer doing like social related causes and all, but I really feel that it ties in really well. We're coming in with a different mindset, different way of thinking, and just finding like-minded friends along with you throughout your years in university to do initiatives or projects together. Right, so in my years in NUS, I had a lot of experiences, and I was fortunate to be able to have like-minded friends to do that with me. So at the top was when I was in year 1, I joined some student activities, and it was a team cohesion activity. And then so at the bottom right-hand corner is a picture of me actually doing engineering, and then in the middle is just some sharings that I've been doing over the past years related to social impact. Right, so the landscape of volunteerism in NUS, there are initiatives that are classified into short-term, mid-term, and long-term. So for the short-term initiatives, I'm sure some of you have heard about the SOGP program and some other initiatives such as volunteering opportunities by the CSC. So it's the Community Service Club of NUS. So they offer year-long programs that you can join in either to engage the community in volunteerism or to plan your own projects. So in the midterm, we have like more extended programs which last over 1 semester or be long, and long-term impact. So we're talking about DYOM module. So I think some of you have known like you can design your own module. So it allows students to be able to come up with their own content and be able to share it with others. Right, so these are some of the initiatives that I've been part of in my time in NUS related to community engagement and development. So on the left is a project that is done to build a dementia-friendly community within Kebun Baru. So Kebun Baru is somewhere in Ang Mo Kio area, and there's a high population of seniors, and the rates of the number of seniors with dementia there is significantly higher than other communities. So it was identified as a place that we could students can come in and do research together with community partners to brighten up the place and make it a more inclusive community for seniors with dementia. So what we did was it was a group of 10 students. We were under the Tritempo Community Leadership Center, CTPCLC, and we partnered with relevant stakeholders such as Alzheimer's Disease Association, ADA, as well as relevant community stakeholders in Kebun Baru. So we went around, we did surveys, we talked to people along the way, and we recommended some ideas in which the place could be more dementia friendly. So for example, some of the interesting things we found along the way, we talked to some business owners. So one day we walked to McDonald's, then we just sat there and did our observation and all. And we saw this group of 4 seniors. On repeated occasions, they always come down to McDonald's and they'll buy Coke Junior and a bag of fries. So sometimes when they come down, they'll forget to buy the fries, and then they'll go to the counter and ask, "Oh, where's my fries? Where's my fries?" Like I ordered, but then I didn't get it. So actually, this senior has dementia, so he sometimes forgets that he didn't order a certain item lah. So when we talk to the staff after seeing this episode, she told us that she understands that some seniors might tend to forget certain things because of these relevant conditions, and they'll just have to be gracious and smile at them. So she does give them the free fries in the end. So these are the small nuances that we've came across during our work there. I think it's really interesting that these opportunities are offered to students to really work with relevant stakeholders. So along the way, we have done things like we went to do one of the recommendations was mural painting also, so that the seniors will know which are the blocks of flats that they live in. And this addresses one common concern that a lot of like caregivers have, which is they don't want the seniors to go out because they are scared that they will like lose their way and all. So these are some little things that we are trying to do within the community so that it builds a community which cares for its residents. And then on the right is another initiative that we did during the COVID-19 period. So we were just reading the newspaper and all, we know that isolation is something that really took a toll on mental health of individuals due to the different due to isolation. And so even for nursing homes, we kind of realized that now like volunteers are not able to go down to the center. Would there be some of a concern and all? So we did talk to some nurses and they told us they were looking for different ways to engage the seniors in nursing homes. So a group of us, like 3 of us, we came together and we just thought, why not we just try something? So we had no dancing background, nothing. We had like 2 left hands, we were dancing and trying to time the rhythm to the beat. But we came up with some Zumba activities that we did virtually they can see the screen. So we were trying to follow the beat of the song lah. So I think it's pretty interesting that some of these community partners are very adapted to these changes, and they try to also allow volunteers to still have their activities despite these conditions. So currently we are still having the program with Tong Take Home, and now we're also doing some pen pal activities where we get youth volunteers to write letters, like really write letters and put stamp and send it to the seniors, and then the seniors will reply the letters by sending the letter back. So these are some pretty interesting initiatives that spin off and see how it's like how youth really adapt to this kind of situations and try to contribute. So there are a lot of amazing initiatives that have happened during the COVID-19 period, and I think I think as youth it's good for us to be involved in the community because like we are part of it and we have the energy and time to contribute back. Right. So yes, this ties into the grants that are offered and available at NUS. So this one is the Community Engagement Fund. So this funding is like for full-time NUS students, and the next cycle opens in January 2021. So what it does is it allows youth to come up with their own initiatives for any community partner. So like if you find a certain need within the community that you live in, or maybe some skill-based volunteerism you want to engage in, this is a grant that you can apply for. So let's just come up with some, if you have some innovative ideas, or you recognize that there's some diversity in the community which you want to showcase, this is a grant that you can check it out. And it's also on NUS website, so on the NUS OSA's website, so you can check it out if you're keen. Then we have youth parks. So this one is for more of cultural activities. So the application is open from April to January. So April to January the next year, and highlights the different aspects of culture, sports, and arts. So it can be either inform recreational activities, educational and developmental programs, or just cultural plays and activities. So then again, the students who can apply for this will be full-time NUS students, and they will be able to showcase these activities to the student population. Right, and lastly, we have the Diversity and Inclusion Grant. Yeah, lastly, we have the Diversity and Inclusion Grant. So the grant is, the objective of this grant is to provide diverse experiences for students, and also to inspire like deeper engagement within the community, because in NUS, we have students from diverse backgrounds. Some are international students, some come from different ethnicity and cultural backgrounds. So this grant allows students to come up with, to problem solve or to innovate on ideas in which can foster a culture that encompasses all these internationally diverse individuals, and to enhance their experience in NUS. So then again, for this kind of grants, it's open to all students, and you can do it in groups or as an individual. Yeah. So for this one, the application process, the current grant is closed for now. And then the next grant will probably open in the next semester. Yeah. So yeah, at the side also, like just something I did during circuit breaker also, because we are not able to go out, and also I started a social conversation channel. So we talk to different stakeholders and understand from the different young change makers out there. There's so many youth doing amazing initiatives, and to come together and just share whatever they've come up with, and also to celebrate their achievement, share some challenges they face with the other youth that listen to these initiatives. Because it's always good to create an environment, collaborative environment, to share and allow each individual to be able to contribute and meet like-minded people along the way. So I'll just end off this presentation with a short quote. So what I believe is really, you only seize every opportunity, because you only miss all the opportunities you don't take. So given you're still young, just try different activities, different initiatives, and you'll really see how diverse and how exciting, interesting the community is. So when you start to observe little things within the community, then you will truly immerse within the community that you live in. Right. So I think if you have any questions, we can. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. Perhaps you might want to leave your tally or your email in the chat. So if anyone's interested, they can just reach out to you. Yeah. Okay. Next, can we have NYC? Next, we will have NYC. We have Michelle and Daniel. So Michelle is a senior manager at the partnership lab at NYC. She facilitates partnerships with youth and youth sector organizations for impactful programming, and identify levels such as grants and innovative approaches to build and strengthen partnerships. Daniel is a manager with the youth engagement team at NYC. He helps the team design interactive engagements for youth people to participate in, so that they can share their views and perspectives on issues close to their hearts, or having the opportunity to listen and learn from other people's perspectives. So with that, can I have Michelle and Daniel?
Yeah, hi, sure. Let me share my screen. Give me a while. Okay. Okay, hi. Hi guys, I'm Michelle from National Youth Council. Very honored to be here to share a little bit about NYC and then together with my colleagues Daniel. So I will take the first part to kick off what NYC is about. So NYC is actually a national agency for youth 15 to 35 years old. And our vision is really to create opportunity for all Singaporeans youth to be heard, to be empowered and to be the change. Under NYC, we have Youth Core Singapore and Outward Bound Singapore. Under Youth Core Singapore, we actually empowers and support youth who are keen to ignite positive change in the society through community service, both locally and overseas. Under Outward Bound Singapore, it is really to empower youth through building resilience and confidence as well as shared experience. Like for example, the MOE Sec 3, MOE OBS Sec 3 program. Not sure whether you guys went through that or I mean before that any OBS program as well. So NYC also work closely with SCAPE and SCAPE offers key platforms to recognize, showcase and develop aspiring youth talents in the area of music, dance, media, esports and entrepreneurship. Yeah, so basically NYC, together with our partners, we really hope to build young people in the necessary attitude, skills and knowledge to thrive in the future. And yet at the same time to build a deep connection with Singapore and wants to contribute back to the nation. And these are some of the events and I mean, whether or not it's NYC events or partners events that we support to actually to do that. So our mission is really to create opportunities for all Singaporeans youth to be heard, empowered, and be the change. So how does it, in the area of be heard? Be heard is really to hear their views so that they can be engaged with the government and communities and each other. And through exposure of diverse views to understand policies, context, and so that they will be informed citizens and be empowered is really to enable them to have access to development opportunities such as service, networking, as well as overseas opportunities. And to be the change finally is really to have structured opportunities for them to contribute their ideas and to take action. So these are some of the areas that NYC support the ecosystem. So on your left side, in a clockwise manner, under platforms and programs, we have some of the examples that we have are like Youth Action Challenge, which I will share a little bit more later. And at the top, we have international programs where we actually collaborate with our international counterparts to offer overseas programs with other international youths. And then we also have grants to enable young people to kickstart their project. At the bottom right, we have also youth trends and issues where we constantly sense the youth pulse and actually put together content and research pieces. And at the bottom is really we have youth spaces like the Red Box in Somerset to encourage ground up initiative. So I would pass the time to Daniel to share a little bit more about the civic engagement tools.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. Hi guys, Daniel here from Youth Engagement team. I'm just going to share very quickly about participatory budgeting. This is kind of like a new innovative way of trying to explore to engage young people. So apart from your standard dialogues, forums, yeah, we're trying to explore this thing called participatory budgeting. Not sure if many of you have heard it before, but essentially, if you all are familiar with Taiwan's model, they do a lot of participatory budgeting in their governance. So for us, we just piloted this. I'm just going to briefly explain to you what it is about. So the project that we tried to explore participatory budgeting as a tool was with the Somerset Youth Master Plan, Somerset Belt Master Plan, sorry. So it was a plan to really look at how we can rejig the space, along Somerset, 313 to the skate park, to Youth Core Singapore, the red bus. So in order to do that, we actually tried this participatory budgeting approach. Basically, the benefits of it is that it gives greater ownership to the design and programming of the space. How we do so is through the allocation of public budget through a process of democratic deliberation and decision making. So in fact, we just piloted it, started in July, and still ongoing. Yeah, so we gave them a budget of $20,000 for this. So let me explain a bit more about how participatory budgeting works. Next slide, please. Yeah, so first we scope up the campaign. So in this case, we wanted to seek young people's views on how we could program the space outside the red bus there. So outside Youth Corps Singapore, which is opposite Skip. What we do is we open it. We invited young people to submit their proposals. And after that, they'll go through the first phase. The first phase requires them to garner enough support for their proposal. So there'll be a threshold limit. Say like, for example, you need 10 upvotes for your proposal to go through to the next round. So once that proposal go past is successful in terms of meeting the threshold, we go into the next phase, which is basically getting feedback from the public. So the public can come in to view the proposals and they can give their comments, give feedback on how to refine the projects. And this is really a phase for the project proposals, the leads of the project proposals to kind of refine their projects. And then after that, we will lead into the community budgeting phase. So this phase, basically all projects that needs the sufficient support from the community, basically the public gets to decide how much funds get allocated across all the projects. So let's say 5 projects make it through, then they are given, in this case, $20,000 to allocate budget across the 5 projects. So it helps the young people and the public to take into consideration the fact that there is a trade-off, and that every time you support a project, there'll be a trade-off involved, and that's really like how governance really works. So after that, when the community allocation of the budget is settled, we'll move into the proposal implementation phase based on the budget that they have received. Yeah. Okay, next slide. So how we've done this is really through our platform called YOCO, short for Youth Conversations. The participatory budgeting module is housed in the section called Take Action. So if you go to the website, which is yoco.sg, you will see 2 sections. First section is Get Talking. Basically functions as a forum for you to discuss social and national issues. We're still trying to pilot this, so it's still very in the initial stages. You won't see many topics seeded, but we have to complement the Take Action portion, which is where the participatory budgeting modules are posted. We have conversations about the project proposals and what could be improved. So that's YOCO. Yeah. Pass the presentation back to Michelle to complete the rest of the presentation. Yeah.
Yeah. Hi. So I think besides that, we also have this SG Youth Action Plan that we want to take the conversation to action, where we want to hear youths, empower them, and allow them to be the change. So just let me bring you guys through the whole phase. There's 2 phases. The first part is where youth actually build consensus about on the aspiration that they want to see in Singapore in the next 5 years up to 2025, and the values that they want the society to embody. And the next phase is actually in the action phase, where youth then look at all these visions and see how they can actually put this into actions. So just a summary of the themes that we have actually distilled out based on the conversation that we had with the youth. So altogether 12 areas, 12 themes that the youth said that they care about. It ranges from the self, at the self level, to the macro level, and at the same time to the future level as well. And there are also 5 values that we kind of see that the youth actually care about, which is inclusivity, fairness, care, sustainability, and progress. So moving on, it's the Youth Action Challenge. So this is actually it's tied to the Youth Action Plan, and it's actually a platform for youth to champion the ground-up initiative in partnership with government. And youth will understand their voice and the stake, and also contribute the ideas through guidance and mentoring. So let me share a little bit more about the Youth Action Challenge. So under this Youth Action Challenge, it's actually a structured program that takes place over a few months. And through the structured program, there are things that is being put in place, such as the development opportunities, mentorship and networks, incubation spaces, and of course, through the projects, there will be amplification as well as funding to support the young people to realize their project. So in fact, we are having a Youth Action Challenge Season 2 currently in the next month, and the registration is actually open already. And these are we have 4 themes: vulnerable communities, jobs and future of work, mental well-being, environment and sustainability. So if you guys are interested in these areas and you would want to be plugged in to understand a little bit about the context, hearing from government agencies and ground organizations, and be having other support systems to help you kickstart your project, please join us. You can check out more about this Youth Action Challenge under this website. Another thing that I want to share is actually the Young Changemaker grant. I think some of the NUS students may be already aware of it. Actually, it's a seed funding grant to support any ground-up projects that benefits the community. So the seed funding is up to $5,000, and the application is open throughout the year. And we support a wide-ranging projects from community service, arts, environment, entrepreneurship, well-being, sports, etc. So can check out our website and the QR code, or even our Instagrams and Facebook. So an example of the project is the Happy Apple that raise awareness on palliative and end of life issues that we support. So do find out more about Youth Action Challenge and Young Changemaker, or even ask us any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you NYC for the sharing. Are there questions? Any questions specifically for the grants? I see we have one Q&A. Mine seems to be a little bit more general, and I will ask that question at the end when all of the institutions have finished presenting their initiatives. If not, can we have the next presenter, which is Chu Jing Kai from Ground Up Central. So Jing Kai believes that life is about connecting the dots. Sometimes you don't see the bigger plan for what you're going through, but eventually the person you become is an accumulation of your experiences. After graduating from SMU Accountancy, Jing Kai did stints at Beyond Social Services and SPCA Singapore, and is currently creating new dots at the National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center Ground Up Central team, supporting everyday individuals who start their own community initiatives for social good. With that, can we have Jing Kai to share?
Hey, thanks Ryan for the introduction. Let me just share my screen. Here we go. Okay. So hi everyone. I'm from the National Volunteer and Philanthropy Center, which is a non-profit organization that aims to nurture a culture of giving in Singapore. And the Ground Up Central team is a team that sits within NBPC, focusing specifically on ground up initiatives. And I thought I'll just start with a little bit about myself and how I ended up in the social service sector, since I know many of you here today are probably really passionate about social issues. You might be actually wondering what's next for you, after you graduate from school and things like that. So I'm really passionate about dogs, dog behavior, canine nutrition, and really animal welfare in general. I also strongly believe in the power of food as a connector of people and the community, and sports for the values that they teach us. I'm also passionate about sleep deprivation. That came out wrong. Not depriving people of sleep, but rather this whole other pandemic that we're in, of people getting insufficient quality sleep in Singapore. And wage transparency is another one as well, and that's about how we should be able to clearly list out, what we're getting paid for. Much like when we go to the grocery store and we get an itemized receipt, right, for every single thing we purchase. And I really love dogs as well. So I know it's a bit of an eclectic mix of passions here, but it kind of mirrors the journey of how I ended up here in front of you guys today, sharing about Ground Up Central and the work that we do. So I'm an accountant by training, studied accountancy at SMU like Ryan shared earlier. And like many of you here today, I was, itchy backside, during my uni days and went to start a business. So I ran a pet bakery, selling cakes and treats for dogs and cats, for like birthday parties, things like that. And I ran a business for about 4 years. And for for all those of you who have actually started something, many of you here actually, you know what it's like. You work crazy hours, you don't really get enough rest. Yeah. So one day I realized I couldn't really see properly, and I figured actually I was having double vision. So I went to the hospital and everything, and the doctors told me that I had what they actually call a mini stroke. So that was when I was 25, and it actually made me realize that life is really very fleeting, and I really wanted to spend my time doing something more meaningful. And at the same time, I also really loved the whole experience I had of starting something. And that's kind of how I ended up working at NBPC's Ground Up Central team with grown-ups, who are actually basically your everyday individuals who see a societal issue, and they step up and solve it themselves instead of waiting for like the government or charities to solve it for them. Yeah, and I believe that grown-ups have the potential to change the way we give, and that's why our vision at Ground Up Central is a vibrant ground-up scene filled with impactful grown-ups. We want to dream of a Singapore where people, everyday people like you and I, are galvanized to actually solve societal problems and be a force for social good. And our mission is really to empower these grown-ups to live their mission. We want to support them with what they need so that they can actually go on to do what they want to do, because we see many of them out there day in, day out, doing simply amazing, inspiring stuff. And we really want to see what we can do to support them. So our journey of supporting Ground Up started back in 2017. And in the 3 years that we've been actually speaking with them, understanding what they do, and trying to figure out what they actually need for support, we realized that a lot of the grown-ups were saying that they actually lacked resources like funding, space, knowledge, partnerships, things like that. Very common, these were things that always came out a lot, which was very interesting also because as a national body, right, we also had government agencies and all telling us that they had the resources to support grown-ups actually. So while we have also an incubator program to support aspiring starters to turn their ideas into action, called Ground Up Sandbox, which is quite similar to the Youth Action Challenge, I thought I'll share today more instead on what we do for those who have already started their Ground Up initiatives, which also actually follows on nicely from what the team at National Youth Council does, because this is really about what's life after the Youth Action Challenge and the Young Changemaker Grant, and yeah, so after you've started, what next, right? So last year, we actually realized when there's a gap in the accessibility to resources for those who have already started, we actually started to pull together all the resources for grown-ups that we could find onto the Ground Up Central platform. So we're still in the early stages of it at the moment, but I'm happy to share what we have for now. So we have the Learn section, which is where you can find like articles on like, useful tips and tricks on running a grown-up, stories of grown-up initiatives to learn more about what other grown-ups are doing as well. The future of this Learn section, right, will actually include a community forum as well, so that anybody can ask the questions that they have regarding grown-ups, and the more mature grown-ups can actually come back to the forum and actually reply based on their experience. Then we have the Collaborate section, where grown-ups can actually list their offers and requests to connect with others to collaborate and partner. So we are currently geared towards grown-ups utilizing this section, but as we go along and we ramp up, we'll also be tapping into our network, our NBPC network of charities, government agencies, companies as well, because we know that grown-ups often require partnerships in the sectors they're involved in, be it poverty, environment, mental health, or anything else. They need to be plugged into the network that is existing in each of the different sectors. And that network is actually exactly what we have at NBPC. And then we have the marketplace, where it's a bit more about the tangible stuff, such as grants and events, like the ones that Michelle shared earlier. Even the ones that Nikki shared, we'll be interested to see how we can have that on our grants page as well. Spaces, publicity, and all. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure if they're here, but just a shout out on behalf of the NUS Developer Student Club, whom we are working with for Gift for Good as part of our marketplace. So Gift for Good is actually a donation in kind platform where non-profits can actually list their requests for items, and people can actually respond and donate to them. So they've actually just officially launched this week. So yeah, this week. So if you have items to donate, actually do check them out. And if you happen to be a grown-up and you'd like to request for items, we actually have an arrangement with Give for Good, where Ground Up Central members can actually qualify for a non-profit account on their platform as well. So you can actually be a member of Ground Up Central, and from there you can actually access the non-profit organization accounts, and then you can list your request for items. Which actually brings me to my next point, the Ground Up Central membership. So in our journey of providing accessibility to resources, another realization we actually had was that some resource providers and actually some organizations, they were actually very happy to support registered charities, but when it came to ground up initiatives, they were a little bit more hesitant, which is not surprising, I guess, but because ground ups tend to be these organic informal groups, right? They're usually unregistered, relatively unknown, and these resource providers and organizations, they either didn't really know how to assess the credibility of these ground ups, or like, for example, companies, they simply lack the time to get to know and understand these ground ups. So we figured that actually there was a role that we could play here, providing the credibility needed to actually open the doors to new opportunities and resources through a membership. So we have the know-how to actually understand the work that ground ups do and the role that they play in society from our 3 years of experience so far in the ground up space. And it's actually a very nascent space. And if we also take the time to actually get to know each individual ground up and profile their work, we were thinking actually maybe we could be on our way to plugging that credibility gap for the ground ups. Yeah, and we actually tried to make it very simple to do so in 3 simple steps. So the first step is really to just head over to our website and fill in the short 2-minute form. And the second step is to have a chat with us for us to find out more about what you do. And the third step is really for you to take us to your next activity. We kind of wanted to make sure that the process was kept simple, because the last thing that we want to do, right, is to take your time away from doing the actual real good work by making you do a ton of administrative stuff and make things overly taxing for you. And yeah, because QR codes are trending at the moment, thanks to Safe Entry, here's one that will take you to the Ground Up Central platform. You can also just head over to the URL groundupcentral.sg, and if the membership or any sections I mentioned earlier sounded useful to you, do check it out, and we'd love to be in touch. Yeah, happy to take any immediate questions if anyone has. It can be anything about Ground Up Central, or questions about starting or running a ground up, or even life as a social service professional, or anything at all. Yeah, so feel free to chat on LinkedIn or drop me an email. So happy to go with the flow. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jing Kai. Up next, we have Wayne. So Wayne Lee is a fresh engineering grad from NUS. His time in university has sparked his interest in the social sector and constantly looks out to meet like-minded individuals to create potential solutions which addresses social needs. Recently, he joined a Youth Action Challenge with a group of talented individuals and kickstarted an initiative to support the social innovation movement in Singapore. So with that, can we have Wayne, please?
Hi. Okay, thanks, Ryan. So let me share my screen. Okay, hi guys. So as you can see, I'm actually part of the Conjunct consulting team. So actually, we kickstarted this SID initiative in order to actually try to help in terms of understanding what the current social landscape is, and I mean, to try to supplement the knowledge tapping of what you guys heard in the morning. So the afternoon session will be on enablers, so that we can actually find more avenues that you can basically take your ideas further. Yeah, so for myself, actually, I have this project on the side. So as mentioned by Ryan, I was actually part of the first ever Youth Action Challenge shared by the NYC team. Yeah, and actually this project was conceived right from the first season of this Youth Action Challenge. Yeah, okay, next. Yeah, so basically some background information. So what is Kampong? Basically, we formed last year when the Youth Action Challenge started, and then we were one of the 12 finalists to actually, I guess, continue our ideas, and we were awarded a grant to actually bring about this project. So our mission was actually to build a community of like-minded people, right, which were empowered to do good through validated projects and initiatives around them. So I think the whole theme of what the enablers have shared so far is really about community development and how actually platforms, technology, people and networks can be leveraged on to actually create a community that can do good. So I mean, for demographic that actually I'm in, so meaning the tertiary students, right? All of us currently are always looking out for opportunities to do good, right? Could it be like skills-based volunteering, or maybe you go for normal volunteering as a on the ground person. Yeah, so a current problem that actually Kampong has identified was that there was a lack of central shared database, right, to actually view and review the current initiatives out there. So actually having no clear idea or clear view of what other people are doing would actually lead to more groups as well as initiatives that are operating in silos. So that's why I think what we shared so far was really all about trying to connect with each other and see how we can actually either pool resources together or actually merge, try to do something good. And then because of this lack of, I would say, a bird's eye view of what are the current resources and landscape and solutions, sometimes it leads to inefficient funding and also potential conflicting projects. So currently, based on a paper that was written by actually Dr. Justin Lee in 2017, right? So what he mentioned was that Singapore's social sector is actually stuck in saturated in services. So there's actually a lack of initiative or push or capability to actually go towards community development. So what exactly is community development? It is actually planned changes which are undertaken through efforts that are combined with the various stakeholders that we have. So various stakeholders would be like students like me and you, individuals, government, agencies like NYC or NVPC, and also like academics as well. So there's actually a lot of people that has to be included, right, in order for us to actually produce something that is considered as community development. So during COVID, I mean, with the panelists like what Yuvan has said in the Youth at Risk panel, right? So everybody is constantly trying to digitalize going online. But however, I think due to many constraints in terms of the either beneficiaries or maybe the systems in which the social good organizations like non-profits, right? Sometimes they don't have the funds or the resources to tap online as well. So sometimes the social sector is still lagging behind in terms of having a sort of a systematic information organization and communication coordination. So the current platforms in which there is out there usually, right, known to most people is like Facebook, social media, or during COVID, actually there's an initiative that was spreading around. So people were actually onboarding their initiatives onto this mass Excel list, and they're sending around. Right? So that was a very good initiative. However, sometimes the amount of information in the Excel sheet could be quite daunting, right? And finally, there are also government outlets whereby you can find more information. However, this is mainly shared or isolated within the, I would say, the governmental agencies, right, called the social service net. So the issue that we were trying to tackle was that we realized now current projects and initiatives, sometimes they lack opportunities to really validate the ideas because they were uncertain whether or not other people are doing it already. So sometimes it leads to conflicts or leads to, I would say, uncertainty whether or not their projects can progress. So sometimes they need a safe space to actually test, right, as well as benchmark their ideas even before they embark on this idea. So sometimes, for example, you have an idea and you go to YCM, sometimes you have to write out a proposal before proposing to them, and sometimes only then you realize that, oh, this project has been done before, right? Or another issue was engagement. So sometimes what Kampong did was that when we did a survey, realized that some people, their projects died down because there was not enough engagement as well as a lack of awareness of what they were trying to do. So they didn't really have a platform to really advocate for what they're doing. And these are some of the feedback that we got. So we wanted to create a platform, right? Like what I think NVPC, OSA, they all have their individual platforms. So similar for us, we wanted to create a platform, but for this, we are focusing really on the location and sort of a hyper-local concept. So whereby we try to connect the social good initiatives, organizations, and individuals across Singapore. So I'll show you a product demo later. So basically, some of the features that we have is basically with Project Kampong on board, right? There will be digital presence for all your initiatives. So basically, we create a one-pager for you, whereby all you have to do is swap form, and then technically that website or that page is yours, whereby it lists down what your key motivations are and what you're trying to do. And then following which we have matching as well. So basically, we go through skill sets and interests in which individuals or users are able to look at the projects and see whether or not they want to further engage them in either volunteering or perhaps join them as a core team. And then engagement in the sense of feedback and validation, in which updates and ideas can be given to sort of refine the ideas before the launch. And finally, as mentioned before, focus on locality, which is trying to use data that we capture within the neighborhoods to actually try to tap on what the existing resources that we have. Yeah, so allow me to share with you guys this. Oh, sorry. Okay, so we actually built a website, a functional website. So basically what this website does is basically listing of your projects, whereby you can actually sign up as a user, or you can list your initiative to sort of publicize, right, what you have done to the people in a very systematic way. So basically what we try to do is basically we categorize and sort of segment your projects based on the current theme, the locality, and what social causes you are interested in. So basically you have hashtags as well as titles and things like that. And then you're able to put basically information or pictures in which is related to your project. And then basically you can list down on what you're trying to look for. So basically for now, for Project Kampong, for example, we are looking for someone with needs analysis. That's how we can actually see whether or not people are interested or they have a particular skill set they might want to contribute to our project. And then here we have basically a storyboard whereby you can list down what the current problems you're trying to choose, what solution you're providing, the ideal outcome, and basically you're able to list down the milestones that you're trying to achieve. So other than that, when I mentioned about engagement, so basically this where the FAQ, the comments, as well as the updates. So basically, as a project owner, you're able to upload the project and basically give updates whereby people or the community that uses Kampong is able to understand what you're trying to do. And for the comments, basically, you're able to give feedback, or you're able to reply to people who maybe can give certain resources or ideas on how you can better refine your idea. Yeah. So basically, this is how you can create a listing. So from this one-pager form, you're able to actually upload the information that you require. And then once you are ready, it will basically publish your idea onto the platform. Okay. Yeah. So that's about it for Project Kampong. Yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Win. I think before we end off, I would like to pose the question to all panelists, NVPC, NYC, and OSA as well, and Wayne as well. So what would you think is the main barrier for youth becoming activists, or at least being more engaged in issues which they care about? Yeah. If perhaps Wayne or Jingkai can start. Yeah,
I could give it a shot. I don't know for sure. I haven't actively worked in the youth sector for a long time, and I'm not active. I'm not like specifically in the youth sector. But I think from my experience as a youth myself, as well as from the ground initiatives I work with, I think one thing it's not really so much what is the main barrier, but I think the question is have they had enough time to actually experience something which they truly care about? Yeah, so I think it's from one perspective it's a matter of time, have they had enough experiences to actually had the opportunity to experience something they care about. For those who actually do have the experience, what we actually see is these people who actually go on to start ground initiatives, they are actually a lot more motivated, a lot more driven to actually solve the problem, solve the social issue, and actually they are the ones who actually will persevere a lot longer than most. Yeah, so actually when I speak with ground up initiatives, right, for people who want to start, right, very often I would say go with something that you actually can internalize and you truly care about, and rather than going with something that that a problem that other people have told you that you're actually looking to solve. Yeah, so yeah, for me the short answer really is the time that they have had to actually experience things that they care about.
Yeah, maybe I can just add on to that. I think from a very personal point of view, I feel that sometimes when you join initiatives or like hackathons, right, to actually try to test your ideas. So for example, for hackathons, I think a lot of times youths that have very good ideas, but maybe perhaps they do not have the proper qualifications, to actually in terms of like pitching, to try to communicate the idea properly to the audience. And sometimes, like for example, people in hackathons, sometimes the only top 1, 2, or 3 people, they can actually win grant money, right, to carry out the ideas, and the rest of them, they get discouraged. So sometimes I think like what Jinkai has mentioned, the barrier entry, or sometimes having too many forms to fill, right, the administrative time, sometimes discourages people or youths to actually try to start something. Right? So the idea, or what I think everyone was trying to do, is try to simplify the steps in which you need to actually bring your idea to, I guess, MVP stage, and then from there you can sort of validate the ideas. But then again, I think youths, they must have enough confidence, right, to actually think that the ideas can work. So I think developing the youths to actually bring about the ideas to life is also very important. Yeah.
I'd like to add on a bit to maybe the part on I think how to get started. So I think it's really to start with something that you are interested or passionate about. So if you're curious or just curiosity, so about maybe like is there really homelessness in Singapore? So maybe you ask yourself that question, and then start to read out on literature, and then maybe join initiatives that help to maybe like befriend these individuals who do not live in a like a institutionalized housing, and then start to meet like-minded people along the way to help you continue to explore more about these initiatives. So I always believe that maybe volunteerism is somewhere to start to open your mind to social issues that exist within the community. So you really find different nuances through that, and definitely do with friends will be something to make sustain an interest and hopefully translate into activism.
Okay, if I may kind of just share my perspective. It's a great question, and I have a few hunches about why this might be so. I think some of which you've already mentioned. One of them is, of course, time. So different people have different priorities at different stages of life. That's something that we've always observed. So youth is from 15 to 35, and as they transit into the workforce, right, most of the time is just occupied by career, work-related stuff, and then setting up families. So time really plays a very big role. The other thing I can think of is the feeling like they can actually make a difference. So when they always start their own initiatives, maybe there's no clear way to measure your impact that is made on the community. So that could be a possible barrier because you ask yourself the question like, okay, so if I do this initiative, I reach out to 20 people, the only people that are impacted is 20 people. I mean, that's still good, but you're thinking about how to scale up, and you feel like it's quite daunting. And at the same time, you think about, oh, maybe there are already a lot of things out there, a lot of initiatives out there. Someone else is taking care of it. So the last thing I can think of is actually convenience. So in engagement, right, I think one of the toughest thing to do is to engage those people who are not active or activated. And so what we do is that we tier our engagement strategy. Meaning to say that, of course, you have those people who are very activated. They will just naturally come to you. You don't even need to reach them. They'll reach out to you. Those are your very active leaders. But then if you want someone to get interested in something, you need to make it easy for them to take action on that. So it could be a very simple step, like just dropping a comment on a forum, and then slowly as they realize that, oh, people is taking notice of their comments, I can give feedback like this. It's so convenient for me. I do not need to come to a session and just air my views. I can just drop it on over a Telegram chat, or there's a feedback form. I can just leave my comments there, and people actually take action on it, be it the government or be it ground initiatives who take notice and actually they work on it. Then it gives them a sense that, oh, actually I feel empowered because my view makes a difference. And I think that will slowly entice them to be more committed into that space, because they start to see that, hey, actually my comments are taken into consideration, or I start to hear different perspectives from other people, and they get more involved over time. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, some people are just happy to just stay at that, or I just contribute my idea, someone will take action on it. And that's fine as well, right? Because they have different priorities. Yeah.
I really echo what Daniel and Jingkai as well as Wayne shared. I think it's just to add on, I think activists to me is at varying level. It can be activists in your personal lives, to be aware of the things that you are passionate about. Let's say if it is environment, if it is using of plastics, and then how do you then be a change maker in the community that you are in, before even thinking beyond, how do you then reach to further down. So I think it's really being aware of the things that you are passionate about, and not be kind of distracted by many things that comes along. Sometimes when you see, let's say, someone in need of help, but you are distracted because you need to complete your task, and therefore you let go of the opportunity to be part of, to be activated in a sense to help the community. So I think keep your hearts open to the surrounding, be sensitive of the issues that you are aware of, and take small steps to kind of do your part as Singaporeans, as your personal self, to influence the people around. Yeah, I think that's in short from me.
Yeah, just maybe like to add on to that as well. Because Michelle mentioned take small steps, and I think that's really important, because another thing that we experience is sometimes the fear of failure and the fear of being different from everybody else. And that sometimes is a barrier to stopping people from actually doing what they believe in. But actually, you don't really have to get it right on the first time. Like we are always wired, especially with our education system, to get it right on the first time. But it really doesn't have to be that way. Start small, but always fail forward.
Okay. Thank you to all the panelists for, I think, what would be a very wonderful way to end this enabler session. With that, we thank all the participants for joining us with this session today, inclusive of the opening session and the panels as well. Your feedback, your feedback is extremely important to us. You can access this through the trending QR code here on the screen. But with that, we hope this pool of initiatives can really help you launch your ground initiatives to the next level. And do feel free to reach out to any of the enablers if you have any questions. And with that, thank you from the SID team, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.